In this episode of Release Radar, we take a look at the Apple iPad Air 4th generation released in 2020. There are several different setups that you can get with the Apple iPad Air 4. For example, my setup has the non-cellular enabled Space Gray 64 gigabytes, but you can get it in several different colors with up to 256 gigabytes, and you can have it with a data plan if you want. I purchased my iPad Air as well as a case for it by OtterBox from Best Buy, and it cost me about $750 US. As somebody who hasn't really used an Apple product since an iPhone 4 back in 2014, one of the first things that stood out to me about this device you can tell just by looking at it. Notice the lack of a home button. Apple has removed the home button on a bunch of their recent devices like the iPhone 12, iPhone 11, and this next generation of iPad Air and iPad Pro. Now, this is kind of a pet peeve for me because I did like the functionality of the home button, and I do think the gestures are a little bit awkward, but I think I just have to get used to them. But I do want to follow up that slightly negative thing with something that I think is really positive, and that is the inclusion of USB Type-C for the charging port. Now, I have a Note 9, and I have a pair of Sony WH-1000Xs, and both of those are USB-C charged devices. So to not have to swap out chargers whenever I want to plug in my iPad is really nice, but it is an iPad, so you have to make sure the charging brick you're using is either the one that came with the device or is one that is capable of outputting enough watts and amps to be able to charge the device in a good amount of time. Now, with all of that aside, let's go ahead and take a look at the specs for this device. This generation of Apple iPad Air is equipped with the A14 Bionic chip. This is the same chip that they're using in the latest generation of iPhone, which is the iPhone 12, and this thing is super snappy and super responsive. And as I said before, the previous Apple device that I owned was an iPhone 4, so this just blows that completely out of the water, but there's really no surprise there. The screen that is powering that chip is a 10.9-inch liquid retina display featuring True Tone and P3 wide color. Now, this screen looks absolutely incredible, especially if you push it up to full brightness. Watching content like movies and stuff on this device is absolutely incredible, especially because this Apple iPad has a feature that's also on my Note 9, which is two speakers firing in a almost surround sound way, with one on the left side and one on the right side.
Besides, we've had a good run. We've been married for 80 years. You what? Well, that's in married.
This device also includes Touch ID, which is basically Apple's version of a fingerprint reader, and it's really convenient just to be able to just rest your finger on the power button to unlock it. Now let's go ahead and switch gears over to the camera. The footage that you're seeing right now is recorded with the back camera on the iPad, and that is a 12 megapixel back camera. It also has a 7 megapixel FaceTime HD front-facing camera. So I'm going to just go ahead and show some video that I took on my dog Toby with the back camera. So just go ahead and enjoy. She's a good doggo. Toby, here. Hey, buddy. How are you? Oh, who's a good girl? Now, there's another functionality that I want to take a look at with this device, and that is gaming. Now, as some of you know, I'm a pretty avid gamer. I'll have a link below to my gaming channel and to my Twitch. If you want to check those out, that would be much appreciated. But this device can definitely run mobile games. So I'm going to show you guys some footage of me playing Call of Duty Mobile. You can hook up a Bluetooth controller to the device as well, so I'm going to be using an Xbox remote. But this game just plays like butter on this device, and it kind of just blows me away, because I have a memory of playing Call of Duty World at War Zombies on the original iPad back in like maybe 2012, and it was just nowhere near this impressive.
Fight harder. Taking the lead. Predator missile awaiting orders. Target down.
Now let's go ahead and take a listen to the microphone on the device. Now, it is a device that isn't really designed to be used for professional recording, and it really shows in the microphone sound quality. So let's go ahead and give it a listen. And I know I have already had audio play a couple times throughout this video, but I'm going to go ahead and play a copyright-free song, and we can just give the speakers a listen. I'm going to have it almost at full volume, but not all the way up, so the speakers don't tin out. And let's go ahead and jam for a few seconds. Moving on from that, I also want to talk about the battery on this device. Now, I use this device relatively lightly. I watch Netflix and Hulu before I go to bed, and I also take it to work with me to watch content in my car on break. And I get about 4 to 5 days of battery usage out of it without charging it. Now, I don't have the screen brightness turned up all the way. I'm not really playing any games, even though I do have KOTOR 1 and 2 and COD Mobile on here. So if I want a game, I can. But I use the device pretty lightly for basic media consumption, and it lasts me almost a full week. So now I want to shift gears and just start talking about some negatives that I have with the device, and there's a couple pretty big ones. As I stated before, the lack of a home button is kind of a turnoff for me. I don't really enjoy the gestures. I feel like they're awkward. Half the time when I'm trying to close apps from the app tray, I can't even get to the damn app tray without everything messing up. So I'm not a huge fan of the lack of a home button. Another thing that I don't like, and this is because I primarily use Android devices, is there's no back button on iOS. I think this is something that's fundamentally flawed with the OS, and that might just be my opinion, but I like to be able to have a dedicated back button, so when it's time for me to leave what I'm doing, I can click the back button. I don't like having to try to hit the X icon on iPad instead of just tapping back to close like something on a media player or to go back to the previous web page I was on. It's just, it doesn't feel as natural. And my other pet peeve is that iOS doesn't really feel like it's changed that much. Next to my iPad Air, I have my dad's iPad, which is an older model running a different version of iOS. And to the naked eye, they look practically the same. And in my opinion, they feel almost exactly the same. There hasn't been much innovation to iOS, and I get the mindset of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But some of the features that have been recently introduced, like picture-in-picture, have been on Android for a long time. So Apple has some catching up to do on the OS side. My final issue that I have with this iPad is pretty much not specific to the device, but it's specific to iOS. I do not like how you cannot rearrange your apps in specific ways like you can on Android. On my Note 9, which you're seeing right here, I can move an app anywhere on the screen. It doesn't have to be in a specific row. And it's very annoying to me because at this point, this has been a thing on Apple devices since the original iPhone. And I think on iOS 14, on the iPhone 13 that's about to come out, and this is the iPad Air 4th generation, I think by now we should be able to put our home screen icons wherever we want. Now, I don't know when this was introduced, but these widgets on screen are new to me. I think they're kind of cool, but the inability to move apps around wherever you want them to go is kind of annoying. However, with all those differences aside that I have with this device, I think I would still recommend it to pretty much anybody looking for a new tablet. I do not have much experience with the Android side of tablets, but I will say that this iPad Air 4 is pretty good. I would recommend it to somebody who's looking for a laptop alternative. You can attach one of those keyboard cases, I will link one down below, and use this as a laptop to take notes in class. You could also use it as a media consumption device for YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, and whatever else. And that's what I mainly use it for, and I think it is very enjoyable to be able to watch content on a screen that's like 6 times the size of my phone. It's also nice to be able to have the portability of gaming. So if you're out on the go, like on a plane or something, and you want to get some light gaming in, but you don't want to bring like a bulky gaming laptop or spend $2,000 on a thin and light gaming laptop, you can plug your headphones in or use your AirPods and play some Call of Duty Mobile or Knights of the Old Republic. And if it's a game that has controller support, you can use a Bluetooth controller like an Xbox One remote to be able to play games on the go. And I think that's really cool. So all in all, I think the camera's good. I think the display's amazing. I think the speaker surround sound feature is really cool. And I would recommend this device for anybody looking to pick up a new tablet or their very first iPad. So this has been a review of the iPad Air 4. Thank you so much for watching. This is Release Radar, signing off. Toby. Hey, buddy. Is it a good treat? Is that a good treat? You like it? Oh. Toby, here. Hey, buddy. How are you? Oh. Who's a good girl?